The year is 2025. Donald Trump, defying the odds and historical norms, sits firmly in the Oval Office for a second term. His victory, a testament to his enduring appeal among a fervent base, was not a resounding mandate for change. It was, however, a stark reminder of the deep divisions that continue to define American society. The nation, still reeling from the tumultuous events of his first term, braced itself for another 4 years under the leadership of the most unconventional president in modern history. The early days of Trump's second term were marked by a familiar cocktail of defiance, controversy, and a steadfast refusal to adhere to the traditional norms of presidential decorum. His supporters, a loyal and vocal contingent, cheered his every move, seeing in his unorthodox approach a refreshing departure from the perceived failures of the political establishment. His detractors, however, viewed his actions with a mix of alarm and weary resignation, bracing themselves for another 4 years of political and social upheaval. The honeymoon period, if it could even be called that, was short-lived. The deep-seated divisions that had characterized Trump's first term, far from being healed, had only festered and deepened during the election cycle. The nation emerged from the political battleground more polarized than ever, the chasm between the two Americas seemingly wider and more insurmountable. The first cracks in the facade of Trump's second term began to appear not from the usual suspects in the liberal media or the halls of Congress, but from within the ranks of his own party. Vice President J.D. Vance, once a rising star in the Republican Party and a staunch Trump loyalist, found himself on the receiving end of a chorus of boos during a recent appearance at the Kennedy Center. The incident, captured on camera and shared widely on social media, sent shockwaves through the Republican establishment, exposing a growing rift between the party's leadership and its base. Congressman Chuck Edwards, a Republican representing North Carolina, faced a similar backlash during a town hall meeting with his constituents. Edwards, known for his unwavering support for Trump's policies, found himself fielding a barrage of angry questions and accusations from voters who felt left behind by his administration's economic agenda. The events, both captured on camera and widely disseminated through social media, painted a stark picture of a Republican Party grappling with internal divisions and a growing sense of unease among its own base. These incidents, while seemingly isolated, were symptomatic of a larger trend of growing discontent with Trump's leadership. The whispers of dissent, once confined to the fringes of the Republican Party, were beginning to grow louder and more insistent, signaling a potential shift in the political winds. The economic anxieties that had simmered beneath the surface of American society during Trump's first term reached a boiling point in his second. Despite the president's repeated boasts of a booming economy, the reality for many Americans was far different. The stock market, while initially buoyed by Trump's tax cuts and deregulation policies, began to show signs of instability, with analysts warning of a looming recession. The trade war with China, a hallmark of Trump's economic policy, continued to inflict pain on American businesses and consumers with no end in sight. Tesla, the electric car manufacturer once hailed by Trump as a shining example of American ingenuity, sent a scathing letter to the White House, pleading for an end to the trade war, which it claimed was crippling its business. The company, once a vocal supporter of Trump's policies, joined a growing chorus of American businesses, warning of the dire consequences of the president's protectionist trade policies. The economic anxieties were further compounded by a widening wealth gap and a shrinking middle class. While the wealthy benefited from Trump's tax cuts, many working-class Americans found themselves struggling to make ends meet, their wages stagnant and their cost of living rising. The American dream, once a beacon of hope for millions, seemed increasingly out of reach for many, fueling a sense of resentment and disillusionment. The growing public anger and economic uncertainty brought back haunting echoes of the Tea Party movement that had rocked the Republican Party a decade earlier. Like the Tea Party, the current wave of discontent was fueled by a potent mix of economic anxiety, social resentment, and a deep-seated distrust of the political establishment. The movement, which had initially targeted President Obama and the Democratic Party, seemed to have found a new target in the Republican Party itself. Michelle Goldberg, a prominent political commentator, drew parallels between the current political climate and the rise of the Tea Party movement, arguing that the conditions were ripe for a similar populist uprising. She pointed to the growing anger and despair among many Americans who felt ignored and betrayed by both political parties. The Republican Party, once a bastion of fiscal conservatism and free market principles, found itself increasingly divided between its traditional base and the populist nationalist wing that had propelled Trump to power. The party's embrace of Trump's brand of populism had alienated many moderate Republicans, while its failure to address the economic anxieties of its working-class base had created an opening for a new generation of populist leaders. In the midst of this turmoil, the Republican Party faced a crisis of confidence. The fractures within the party were becoming more pronounced as the gap between the establishment and the populist wings widened. Many Republican voters felt disillusioned, questioning whether their party still represented their values and interests. The leadership struggled to present a unified front, with prominent figures publicly clashing over the direction of the party. This internal conflict only served to deepen the sense of uncertainty and instability, both within the party and among its supporters. The facade of unity that the Republican Party had tried to maintain was beginning to crumble. The internal divisions were no longer just behind closed doors. They were playing out in public for all to see. This public infighting eroded trust and confidence among the party's base, leaving many to wonder if the party could survive this period of intense internal strife. As the rift grew, some members began to break away, seeking to form new alliances and coalitions that better aligned with their vision for the future. This fragmentation threatened to weaken the party's influence and power, casting doubt on its ability to effectively govern and lead. At this crossroads, the Republican Party stood on the precipice of significant change. The anger and frustration that had fueled the populist movement also carried with it a glimmer of hope. A hope for a party that could better represent the needs and aspirations of its diverse base. Some saw this moment as an opportunity to rebuild and redefine the party, to create a more inclusive and responsive political force. Others, however, feared that the divisions were too deep and that the party might never fully recover from this period of upheaval. As the party grappled with these challenges, the future remained uncertain. But one thing was clear. The choices made in this moment would shape the direction of the Republican Party for years to come.
Imagine a time before history. Our ancestors lived as nomads. They hunted and gathered. Life was a daily struggle for survival. Then something extraordinary happened. Humans began to farm. This single innovation changed everything. It sparked the birth of civilization as we know it. Settlements grew into cities, societies developed complex structures. The tapestry of history began to be woven. Vast landscapes were untouched wilderness. Mighty rivers flowed unimpeded. The air was clean and the stars blazed brightly at night. It was in this world, thousands of years ago, that the first great civilizations emerged. They left behind an enduring legacy. Their achievements in art, architecture, and governance still inspire us today. These early civilizations faced many challenges. Natural disasters, disease, and warfare were constant threats, yet they persevered. Our journey begins in the Fertile Crescent, the birthplace of agriculture. Here, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the mighty Mesopotamian civilization flourished. The Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians all left their mark on this land. They built impressive ziggurats, towering temples that reached towards the heavens. The Babylonians, under King Hammurabi, developed one of the first known law codes. Further south along the banks of the Nile River, another great civilization arose, ancient Egypt. The Egyptians were masters of engineering and architecture. Their pyramids and temples still stand today, a testament to their ingenuity. They developed a hieroglyphic writing system. They possessed a deep understanding of astronomy and mathematics. The pharaohs, their god-kings, ruled with absolute power. They left behind a legacy of art, culture, and mystery that continues to captivate us. Across the Indus River Valley, the ancient Indus civilization thrived. Known for their urban planning and sophisticated drainage systems, they were masters of urban living in their time. Their artifacts reveal a vibrant culture. As centuries passed, some civilizations grew into powerful empires. These empires extended their reach across vast territories. They left lasting impacts on language, culture, and governance. One such empire was the Roman Empire. At its peak, it stretched from the British Isles to the Middle East. The Romans built impressive roads, aqueducts, and public buildings. Their legal system and military prowess influenced the development of Western civilization. In Asia, the Mongol Empire, under the leadership of Genghis Khan, rose to prominence. Known for their equestrian skills and military tactics, the Mongols conquered vast swathes of territory. They established a vast trading network that spanned much of Asia. This facilitated cultural exchange and the spread of knowledge. However, even the mightiest empires eventually crumble. Internal strife, corruption, and external pressures led to their decline. The fall of these empires reminds us that nothing lasts forever. It is a reminder of the cyclical nature of history. Section 4. Voyages into the unknown. The thirst for knowledge and the desire for new trade routes fueled the age of exploration. European explorers set sail across the globe seeking new lands and opportunities. Christopher Columbus, seeking a westward route to Asia, stumbled upon the Americas. This discovery had a profound impact on world history. It led to the exchange of goods, ideas, and people between the Eastern and Western hemispheres. This era also witnessed the rise of powerful maritime empires. Portugal, Spain, England, and the Netherlands established colonies in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. This period saw the tragic transatlantic slave trade that forcibly brought millions of Africans to the Americas. It is a dark chapter in human history, a stark reminder of the consequences of greed and exploitation. Section 5. The engine of innovation. We now turn our attention to the Industrial Revolution. Beginning in the late 18th century, this period witnessed an unprecedented wave of technological advancements. The invention of the steam engine, the cotton gin, and the power loom revolutionized manufacturing and transportation. Factories sprung up in cities. People migrated from rural areas to urban centers seeking work. The Industrial Revolution had a profound impact on society. It led to increased productivity, economic growth, and the rise of a new middle class. However, it also created new challenges. Urbanization led to overcrowding, pollution, and social unrest. Despite its challenges, the Industrial Revolution marked a turning point in human history. Section 6. A world at war and the path to today. The 20th century witnessed two devastating world wars that reshaped the geopolitical landscape. These conflicts resulted in unprecedented casualties and destruction. They also led to significant technological advancements, particularly in the fields of aviation, weaponry, and communication. After World War II, the world entered a new era marked by the Cold War. This period of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union shaped international relations for decades. It also led to the development of nuclear weapons, which had the potential to destroy human civilization. The latter half of the 20th century witnessed major social and political changes. The civil rights movement in the United States fought for equality and justice. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked the end of the Cold War and the beginning of a new era. The internet and personal computers revolutionized communication and information sharing. Today, we live in a globalized world interconnected by technology. Advances in medicine, transportation, and communication have improved the lives of billions. However, we also face new challenges. Climate change, economic inequality, and political polarization threaten our collective future.